Assalamualaikum and hi. We are from class AS11421 and in this video you guys can learn about basic chromatography and we will determine the ink composition of marker using ink chromatography. Here are our team members: Ainul, Shafiyah, Batrisyia, Akhtar, Khuzaimah, Nurfarah, Alyaa, and Syazwana. This is the thing that you guys can learn in this video. Okay, what is basic chromatography? Chromatography is a method that used to physically separate two or more compounds in a mixture. And it involves two phases, which are mobile phase and stationary phase. And talking about chromatography, the key point is separation. Separation is important in chromatography to identify an unknown substance. The sample must be simplified as much as possible into its individual compound. Then, the unknown can be characterized by individual identification of its components.
Next, we will continue on principles of chromatography. There are two phases that play major roles in conducting each type of chromatography, which is stationary phase and mobile phase. Where stationary phase, it can be a solid or liquid that is mobilized on solid support, and it serves as a medium where the components of the mixture interact and separate based on their properties, while the mobile phase is a fluid that moves through or over the stationary phase carrying the components of the mixture. Here are the features of the stationary phase and mobile phase in column chromatography and paper chromatography. Differences of mobile phase and stationary phase in each chromatography. There are two types of chromatography, which is absorption chromatography and partition chromatography. So absorption chromatography, the stationary phase is solid absorbent materials such as silica and alumina, while the mobile phase, it can be liquid or gases. For example of absorption chromatography is column chromatography and thin layer chromatography, while partition chromatography, the stationary phase, it can be liquids or solid material. And then the mobile phase is an immiscible liquids or gases. For example of partition chromatography is paper chromatography and gas chromatography.
There are two types of chromatography, which are paper chromatography, thin layer chromatography, and column chromatography.
Next is paper chromatography. What is paper chromatography? Paper chromatography is a type of planar chromatography whereby the procedures are run on specialized paper, and the RF value is the ratio of solute distance travel to the solvent distance travel.
Next, I will explain about the thin layer chromatography or TLC. Thin layer chromatography is a chromatography technique used to split the components in non-volatile mixtures using TLC plate and a thin stationary phase. TLC is widely used for separation and identification of organic compounds based on difference in their polarity. TLC also have disadvantages, which are low resolution, high cost of stationary phase, limited sensitivity for some compounds, and limited reproducibility.
Column chromatography is a precursor technique used in the purification of compounds based on their hydrophobicity and polarity. The molecule mixture is separated depending on its differential partitioning between the stationary phase and mobile phase. What is mobile phase in column chromatography? It is made up of solvent and performs certain functions such as acts as developing agent in the separation of components in the sample to form bands. Stationary phase is where a solid material which should have good absorption properties and meet the condition, for example, the shape, size, stability, and the inertness of the particles. Each type of chromatograph has their own advantages. Paper chromatography is often used because of the simple procedure. The result produced is also rapid. Paper chromatography requires less quantitative materials, cheaper, does not occupy much space, and have excellent resolving power. Thin layer chromatography is also very simple to conduct, need low cost, high sensitivity, and shows fast results. Lastly, the advantages of column chromatography are all different kinds of complex mixture can be separated, and the separated analyte can be reused, and this process can be automated. Paper chromatography has various applications in industry due to its simplicity, cost-effectiveness, and versatility. For example, food industry. Paper chromatography plays a crucial role in food industry for analyzing food additives, contaminants, and the quality of the food products. It can be used to determine the presence of dyes, preservative, pesticide, and other chemical compounds in food sample. Additionally, it helps in assessing the authentic and determining the origin of food product. The second example is forensic science. Paper chromatography finds application in forensic science for analyzing crime scenes evidence such as ink samples, dyes, paints, and fibers. It assists forensic experts in identifying and comparing different substances, linking suspects to crime scenes, and providing valuable evidence for criminal investigation.
I will explain about the theory of ink chromatography. Ink chromatography is a method carried out in the laboratory to separate components from the mixture based on the solubility in the stationary phase and mobile phase. Ink is a mixture of several dyes used for writing, such as in a multiple pen. By performing ink chromatography, we can separate these colors from each other. These colors will spray into spots when paper with ink is exposed to the solvent. This is because the different colors present in ink have different solubility in water. The components that are more soluble in water will dry faster on paper than another component.
Next, we will continue on procedure of ink chromatography. First, we have to cut a long thin strip of chromatography paper. Then we draw a small dot or line near one end of the paper chromatography using the ink to analyze. Then pour a small amount of solvent into glass or beaker. Attach the paper strip to a pencil or pen using a clip or clothespin. Make sure that paper hangs down without touching the side or bottom of the glass. Immerse the paper strip in the solvent, ensuring the ink spot is above the solvent level, and let the paper sit in the solvent, allowing it to soak up and carry the ink component as the solvent moves up the paper. Wait until the solvent is close to the top of the paper or reach the desirable height. Remove the paper from the solvent and lay it flat on clean surface to dry. Then we have to observe the separate ink band or spot on the dry paper. Different components of the ink may have migrated a different distance, creating distinct band. Then we have to analyze and interpret the result by comparing them with known ink sample or using appropriate method to identify the ink component.
As you can see in the result in before, we can see that the line was drawn in the paper strip and the paper will be immersed in the solvent. Okay, after we can see that a black ink can separate it into various colors such as yellow, orange, and blue.
Chromatography is an important biophysical technique that enables separation, identification, and purification of the component of the mixture for qualitative and quantitative analysis. And that's all for our slide. Thank you.